Right now, police are giving us very little information after responding to a house on fire and finding someone dead inside. This happened in Castle Rock in the Terrain neighborhood Tuesday afternoon. Firefighters say they knocked down the fire in about 15 minutes. Crews found 2 people inside. One was dead. They took the other to the hospital. That person is expected to be okay. No one has been arrested, and police say there is no threat to the public.
An update from CDOT, and probably not a surprising one. There's a lot more work to do along I-70 in Glenwood Canyon. Mudslides along the Grizzly Creek burn scar have created dangerous conditions. You may recall the mudslides that closed a piece of I-70 for 2 weeks last summer. Crews say they have removed more than 200,000 tons of debris since then and still have more to remove from the Colorado River next to and under the interstate. CDOT says it also wants to improve Cottonwood Pass as a more viable detour. Right now, it's basically a Jeep road. CDOT says it's talking to Eagle and Garfield counties about that possibility moving forward. Matt Renew is going to bring us a live report on this coming up at 6:30.
It is 5 minutes after 6 right now. Denver Water is now connecting homeowners in the Berkeley neighborhood with a restoration company. This after an old pipe burst flooding the neighborhood on Sunday. As the homeowners clean up, the focus now shifts to who's responsible for all the damage. The utility company says the Colorado Governmental Immunity Act allows it to write on their website that Denver Water is not responsible for damages resulting from a water main break. So while Denver Water doesn't have to take responsibility, they say it will pay for damages, some of them anyway, the pipe caused. They are giving homeowners a restoration company to work with. An insurance worker says homeowners insurance is not going to help in this situation.
Typically, when you have a main water line break, it's a city pipe. That's something that's not going to be covered by your private homeowner's insurance.
Yeah, Denver Water says there are more than 80,000 different valves in the water system throughout the city, and that's why it took crews hours to get the water shut off on Sunday.
Such a mess. This morning, a man from Aurora who shot a neighbor during a dispute over fireworks will appear for sentencing. Scott Matthews is convicted of second-degree murder for the July 2019 shooting of Jaree Wheeler. This incident started as an argument between the girlfriends of the 2 men and then escalated to the shooting. Matthews was a corrections officer for the state at the time.
And the man who tried to steal a jet, no kidding, to go to Hawaii. He's going to be sentenced today. Sterling Love jumped the south fence of Centennial Airport back in July of 2021. He walked onto the taxiway and up the steps of a nearby jet. He was trying to get on board. The crew saw him and would not let him in, and they called the police.
Westminster police say the Wayne Carl middle schoolers hospitalized last week did not overdose on fentanyl. There was an incident on Thursday and the school notified families that 3 students had a medical issue. Westminster police tells us that the students went to the hospital as a precaution after they ingested an illegal substance. Police aren't saying what, but they say that it was not fentanyl. Democratic State Representative Matt Gray will not run for re-election. He's backing out of the race after his drunk driving arrest. Gray has not been charged. He was booked and released on suspicion of a DUI last week after school staff stopped him from picking up his kids from an after-school program. Gray told police that he was having a panic attack. A vacancy committee in Broomfield will pick a new Democratic candidate over the weekend, but ballots are finalized and printed before that, so a vote for Gray will be a vote for the new candidate picked by party insiders.
Members of the U.S. State Department are returning to Ukraine. It is a sign the Biden administration's pledge of ongoing support to the country. This comes as Russia is stepping up its threats and attacks. NBC's Bree Jackson has the latest from Washington.
Ukrainian officials say a 3rd mass grave was found in Mariupol and claim civilians were forced to dig it in exchange for food and water. The UN secretary says the violence must end.
I came to Moscow as a messenger of peace.
After his meeting with Vladimir Putin, the UN says Russia's president agreed in principle for the Red Cross to help evacuate civilians from the besieged steel plant in Mariupol. Russia is still ramping up its attacks and rhetoric, saying the risk of World War III is real if the West continues to supply weapons to Ukraine.
Специальной военной операции.
As soon as it ends up in Ukraine, these arms and hardware become legitimate goals and targets for our military.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin pressed allies to send even more military support and heavier weapons, despite Russia's warning.
It's dangerous, and any kind of rhetoric like that, I think is unhelpful.
On Capitol Hill, the Secretary of State urges Congress to keep the flow of arms and humanitarian aid going.
I have to tell you, I felt some pride in what the United States has done to support the Ukrainian government and its people, and an even firmer conviction that we must not let up.
Helping Ukraine win this war and making sure Russia does not have the means to start future conflicts. In Washington, Bree Jackson for NBC News.
And Defense Secretary Austin says the U.S. and its European allies have formed a contact group. They'll meet monthly to discuss strategy for Ukraine in order to defeat Russia. Well, a group of students here in Colorado sending care packages to Ukraine, specifically for child refugees. Ukrainians of Colorado, Project Cure, and North Star Academy are working together on this.
Students packed 200 bags filled with essentials like toothbrushes and Band-Aids, and they also included personal messages.
Dear Ukrainians, I am sorry for what is happening to your land. My greatest hope is that the country will be restored and people can go back to their normal lives with no more war.
I know it's not a lot, and I know we have no idea what you're going through over there.
I stand with you during this difficult time. We love you with our hearts. We hope that you make it home safely.
Aren't they the sweetest? All 200 of the packs came with a letter. Project Cure is based in Centennial. Now, it may sound familiar because 9 News viewers raised more than $400,000 to support its humanitarian work in Ukraine just a couple weeks ago.
You might have noticed some hazy skies over Colorado on Tuesday. Well, that blanket of stuff is actually smoke coming in from several places. Fires are burning in Arizona and New Mexico, but there's also smoke from wildfires in Russia that started moving over the West Coast in the last few days. Caught up in that smoke is also dust from the Gobi Desert. Combine it all and you get these gross, hazy skies over our areas. Since the start of the year, the elevator shafts and stairwells are the only parts of the Element Hotel still standing along Highway 36 after the Marshall fire. That's until Tuesday. Demolition teams went to work starting to clear that site in Superior. And this is what it looked like Tuesday morning when Sky 9 flew over that area. You can see crews made quick work of bringing down those concrete towers. Across the highway, work is also getting underway clearing the neighborhoods destroyed by that fire in late December. Investigators are still looking into what started the fire. Repairs to the damaged sections of Empower Field are going to take several months after that fire at the stadium in March. People are going back to it for events ahead of a motocross race this weekend. There are now large traps over those sections that were burned up and damaged. A national TV audience will also be watching. NBC Sports is planning to carry the races on Saturday, so you can watch the action right here on 9 News.